Hello and one and all, and welcome back to yet another movie review, and this time I shall be reviewing the newest Indiana Jones film that is released in the cinema. It is the fifth and final film in this series with Harrison Ford mainly, and that is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which is directed by, this time, James Mangold, not Steven Spielberg. And it of course stars Harrison Ford once again as Indiana Jones, Mads Mikkelsen as the villain, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and some other actors that are involved in this movie. And yeah, what else needs to be said about Indiana Jones? He is one of the most iconic film characters of all time. Just the fedora. I wish I had one, but at least I have sunglasses anyway, so I can use that as a thing, an idol to wear anyway, in character. Like, he is like the GOAT when it comes to adventure characters out there, to an extent. And I've recently started coming to getting into James Mangold's filmography. Le Mans 66, or in America's case, Ford v Ferrari, which is probably the more appropriate title. Excellent film, I love that. The Wolverine, very underrated, the most underrated X-Men film in my opinion. So original and unique, despite the final act not being too great, but really great. And Logan I extremely love because it is violent, and that's what I want from an X-Men movie. And I have of course watched some of his other movies, the remake of 3:10 Dune, and also Copland as well. And I think overall he is one of the next up and coming filmmakers to look at, And I have seen Night and Day with Tom Cruise. Not his best one, but heyo. And then of course, you guys will have seen in 2021, I reviewed all 4 of the previous Indiana Jones films. Raiders of the Lost Ark being a adventure classic. Temple of Doom, although my least favourite in the trilogy, it's still great nonetheless how different and unique it is. Last Crusade is probably my favourite of the films because of how heartfelt it is. And I just love the ending, which told me when I first watched it, yep, it's how you end a trilogy.
Done!
Then, of course, we got King with the Crystal Skull, which isn't a flat-out horrible movie. There are ideas in that film that are acceptable. But the huge problem with that movie is that it just looked so dry and clean whenever Indiana Jones is coming out of stuff like refrigerators and water. Yeah, overall, the movie I just find pretty meh. But now we, of course, get Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And with early reviews, it's getting nothing but bad responses. Like, bad response after bad response. Like, it had 43% on Rotten Tomatoes, and now it's sitting at 68%, with some positive comeback here and there. And I'm in that category. I had a fun time with Dial of Destiny, and is it necessarily as good as that original trilogy? No, it didn't have to be. But I like it so much more than King of the Crystal Skull because it is better directed. It's got a more compelling story. It's a better looking movie. It's got better acting. It actually feels like an Indiana Jones film. Although some action in King of the Crystal Skull is acceptable, like both of the Russian fights ain't bad, and his death, it's the only time in King of the Crystal Skull where you get to see something bloody. And of course the Mutt Williams motorbike scene is pretty fun as well. And of course Harrison Ford, of course, is great in that role. As much as I do find him good in that film, he was just too much more of a superhero in that movie, where he would just constantly just survive from a refrigerator and water, which, as I said, the movie just looks so dry. with this film, Harrison Ford is nothing like a superhero in this movie, thank God. He's a human. Maybe not as human as the original trilogy, but that being said, he is absolutely great in the role. And if you're talking about this movie, everybody is going to talk about that opening prelogue, which is absolutely fantastic. All right? This shit was great. I mean, it would have gotten the highest grade of anything if it was just that opening alone. Like, and although Harrison Ford's current voice doesn't match the de-aging, it didn't take me out constantly. Honestly, though, it really did not take me out just constantly. I was just hooked in throughout the opening scene. You know, it was so much fun. You know, the Nazis were back. You know, I liked how it takes place in the mid-40s, which is why I think the de-aging is better than what some people are saying, I think. Because in this opening scene, it takes place 6 years after Last Crusade. So, you know, what else can you go wrong? So, but yeah, that stuff was just brilliant. It just felt like I was watching a classic in the cinema, you know. And then, of course, we go into the present day, where you see old Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones. And a character that people are very divisive on. You know, everyone's talking about this character, saying, is this character necessary? Phoebe Waller-Bridges, I don't get the hate for her. She's a really fun character. She's very quirky, to say the least. And no, she doesn't have to be the new lead. I don't need to see her in a spin-off or anything else, because I think what she's given is fine, right? And yes, she is the goddaughter in the movie, because of course in the prologue, Indiana Jones was, of course, with Helena's father, you know. And Mads Mikkelsen, he plays the best villain, I think, since his Le Chiffre in Casino Royale. And gratefully, it's better than King with the Crystal Skulls villain. Although he's probably no Mola Ram or any of the other Nazis in this series, I think Mads Mikkelsen did the best he could. You know, I thought he was very imitating and a pretty good villain, I think, I would say. And then, of course, if you're going to talk about Indiana Jones, you must not forget John Williams himself composing that music. That music he composes, it's so great. I mean, I love hearing his music. It is the best score he's done for a big budget movie since Revenge of the Sith, I would have said. Because King of the Crystal Skulls score was pretty good. And some aspects of the Star Wars sequel trilogy are fine, you know. But with this, John Williams is back into classic once again, composing. And just like any other movie out there, there are some issues with this movie, which is going to lead me into a spoiler review, and I'd like to do a spoiler review in a few days to fully process this movie. The third act, I wasn't completely on board with it. I get why they were trying to do it, but I just wasn't too sure I was a fan of it, you know? Particularly the ending, which isn't the worst ending out there. I mean, Last Crusade's ending was flat out perfect, one of the best endings I've ever seen in a movie, just 4 characters going off to the sunset. And then in King of the Crystal Skull, ain't a bad ending, You know, Indiana Jones and Marion in the fourth film are you know, are getting married in that film, and at least he still has his hat. Thank you, Mark Williams. That ending ain't bad. With this film, it's just like, okay, fair enough, all right. But some pacing in the film works. There are times where it doesn't, simply because of the runtime. It is 2 hours and 30 minutes long, I believe. And honestly, I didn't think it needed to be that long, honestly. You could have taken some scenes that could have been easily as a deleted scene as a whole, you know. And guys, I think overall, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is pretty good. It's not the best Indiana Jones film, and no, I was not expecting it to be. I was just expecting a fun time, and that's what I got. You know, I like it more than King of the Crystal Skull, which may be a debate for some, but I don't know, maybe in the near future, depending what Disney does, or whatever company, whatever, does. We'll see where this movie lands in the near future, because opinions do change. I mean, take a look at the Star Wars sequel trilogy, you know. But yeah, overall, I think this film is much better than what some people are saying it out to be. You know, which kind of gives me a headache, to be honest with you. And would I watch this over and over again? Probably not, mainly just for the incredibly good opening prologue scene. But all in all, guys, I enjoyed Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and I am definitely going to do a spoiler review at some point. There you go, guys. That was my review on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So comment down below, let me know below what you guys think of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I'd be very interested to know, because it's yet another 50-50 movie thing. Even Temple of Doom, King of the Crystal Skull are those kind of movies, you know. While with Raiders and Last Crusade are peak gold. But anyways, let me know below in the comments what you guys think. And as always, if you're new to my channel, I'm a movie reviewer from the UK that likes to do movie reviews and from classic stuff from time to time. I'm not considering myself a critic per se, but it's just a hobby I like doing nonetheless. And as always, feel free to comment, like, subscribe, share this video, and notify that bell before you leave. And as always, until my next video, I shall see you then, and peace.